Introduction. Silence is noisy. If I asked you to stay silent right now, you would probably stop talking. You would close your mouth, perhaps you would close your eyes. And in that apparent vacuum of external sound, you would tell me, "That's it. I am in silence." But you would be lying. If I had a high-sensitivity microphone capable of picking up electromagnetic frequencies and placed it over your skull, what I would hear would not be peace. It would not be a calm lake. I would hear a storm. I would hear a crowded market of people shouting prices, judgments, and fears. I would hear fragments of songs from 10 years ago. I would hear the electric hum of a machine that hasn't turned off since the day you were born. We live under the most persistent and dangerous illusion of the human experience, the belief that our thoughts are private and silent. We believe that what happens inside our head stays inside our head. We believe that thought is air, smoke, something ethereal that has no weight, occupies no space, and has no physical consequences until we decide to act. We tell ourselves, "I only thought it, I didn't say it," as if that were an excuse, as if the fact of not having moved your vocal cords made the event any less real. This book begins with a premise of hard physics that you must accept if you want to survive your own mind. Thought is an acoustic event. At the most fundamental level of matter, there is no difference between a spoken word and a thought word. Both are vibrations. Both are organized waves of energy that carry information. The only difference is the medium through which they travel and the frequency at which they vibrate. When you speak, you move air. You create pressure waves that hit someone else's eardrum. When you think, you move electricity. You create synaptic waves that hit the very fabric of reality. Neuroscience tells us that every time you have a thought, a specific sequence of neurons fires. That firing generates a measurable electric current. And as we know from the basic laws of electromagnetism, every electric current generates a magnetic field. This means that every thought you have is emitting a radio signal outward from your body. Literally, you are a transmission antenna walking through the world, broadcasting your personal radio station 24 hours a day. The problem is that 99% of human beings transmit white noise. They transmit a dirty signal full of static, contradictions, and interference. Imagine an orchestra where every musician plays a different score. The violin plays a melody of desire, "I want to be rich," but the drum plays a rhythm of fear, "There is no money," and the trumpet plays a note of guilt, "I don't deserve it." What sound does that orchestra produce? Say it produces chaos. It produces an unbearable cacophony. And the universe, which is a reactive field that responds to vibration, hears that noise and returns exactly what you have sent it. A chaotic, confusing life full of friction. This is what I mean when I say that silence is noisy. Most people seek peace of mind by trying to quiet the external world. They go to the mountains, use earplugs, or lock themselves in soundproof rooms. But the noise that is destroying their life does not come from outside. The noise comes from the constant broadcast of their own dialogue. This book is not a self-help manual to think pretty. Superficial positive thinking is like putting a fresh coat of paint on a rotting wall. It's useless if the structure is vibrating on the verge of collapse. This book is a treatise on mental acoustic engineering. We are going to treat your mind as what it is, a high-tech recording studio that has been left in the hands of a capricious child, your ego, and a traumatized parrot, your past programming. We are going to enter the control booth. We will look at the frequency meters and audit the signal. Have you ever stopped to really listen to what you say to yourself? I don't mean the conscious thoughts you choose to have, like, "I need to buy milk." I mean the background hum, the relentless narrator, that voice that comments on every move you make. How clumsy you are. They surely dislike you. This is going to go wrong, as always. You are not prepared. That narrator is not a passive observer. It is the architect of your destiny. In ancient mystical traditions, people spoke of the word, or the logos, as the creative force. In the beginning was the word. We have been taught to interpret this as a religious metaphor, but it is a technical description of how quantum reality works. The word is the vibration that organizes chaos into order. You are a small god emitting your own word every millisecond. You are constantly decreeing your reality. The problem is that your decrees are destructive. When you tell yourself, "I am exhausted," 20 times a day, you are not describing your physical state. You are giving an order to your cells. You are instructing your mitochondria to drop energy. You are aligning your biological reality with your acoustic command. Your cells are obedient soldiers who listen to the voice of the general, you. If the general shouts, "We are defeated," the soldiers throw down their weapons. Ignorance of this mechanic is the main cause of suffering. We live in a state of linguistic negligence. We speak and think with a lack of care that would terrify us if we understood the power of our tools. It's as if we were given a loaded rifle and used it to scratch our backs, unaware that the trigger is sensitive. We shoot our own feet. Then we ask, why am I so unlucky? Why is life so hard? Life is not hard. Life is an acoustic mirror. If you scream hate into the canyon, the echo returns hate. If you whisper fear, the echo returns fear. What we will do is learn to change the input signal to modify the echo. But I warn you, this requires brutal honesty. It requires you to stop considering yourself a victim of your thoughts. "I just can't help thinking this way," you will tell me. False. That is the excuse of someone who has surrendered their sovereignty. It is true that you cannot stop a thought from appearing. That is an automatic reflex. But you do have the absolute power to decide if that thought stays, is amplified, or is cancelled. You have the power to cut the signal. We will learn to audit your dialogue with engineering precision. We will identify the low frequencies words of poverty, doubt, victimhood, and we will see them not as truths, but as noise on the line. And I will teach you to clean the track. I will teach you to use active silence and the word of power. You will learn that there are words that act as master keys in the psyche. I am, thank you, it is done. And words that act as computer viruses. Try, hopefully, I can't. We are about to enter the anechoic chamber of your own consciousness. At first, the volume of your own noise will scare you. You will realize how much garbage you have been transmitting to the universe for years. You will feel ashamed of how you have spoken to yourself. But then, you will discover control. You will discover a bass frequency under the noise, a pure and perfect carrier wave, your true voice. When you learn to tune into that frequency, your outer life will change with a speed that will seem magical to others. They will ask what you have done. They will ask for your secret, and you will simply smile. You will know that you have done nothing on the outside. You have only stopped emitting noise. You have only tuned the instrument. Get ready. We are going to turn up the volume of truth and turn down the volume of fear. Welcome to the engineering of your own mind. Welcome to the frequency. Chapter 1, The Acoustics of Thought. To begin our audit, we must destroy the oldest myth of dualistic philosophy, the idea that mind and matter are different substances. René Descartes did us no favors when he separated res cogitans, the thinking thing, from res extensa, the physical thing. He convinced us that we could have a chaotic mind full of garbage and noise, and that it would not affect the hard reality of our body or environment unless we decided to move our arms. The biophysics of internal dialogue begins with an uncomfortable truth. Thought is not abstract. Thought is matter in a vibratory state. When you generate a sentence in your mind, say, "I won't be able to pay for this," you are not operating in an ethereal vacuum. You are initiating a chain of physical events as real as dropping a stone into a pond. Analyze the ignition sequence. 1. The origin. An intention or memory activates in the limbic system or prefrontal cortex. 2. The firing. A neuron depolarizes. This means it opens its membrane gates and exchanges sodium and potassium ions. This exchange generates a potential difference, a voltage. Literally, you generate electricity. 3. The transmission. That electricity travels down the axon, the cable, to the synapse. 4. The transduction. At the end of the cable, electricity turns into chemistry, neurotransmitters, to jump the gap, then back into electricity in the next neuron. This process, multiplied by the billions of neurons activated to sustain a complex thought like a worry or an identity, generates an electromagnetic field. We know this because we can measure it. An EEG does not measure ideas. It measures voltage fluctuations on the scalp. It measures the electrical music of your brain. If you have a thought of fear, the music changes. High, incoherent beta waves. If you have a thought of peace, the music changes, coherent alpha or theta waves. Therefore, every word of your internal dialogue has an energetic mass. It has a weight in volts. It has a frequency in hertz. You are not thinking, you are transmitting. Your skull is not a locked safe where you keep secrets. Your skull is a resonance box. It is the body of an acoustic guitar. Thought is the vibrating string. The brain is the wood that amplifies the sound. And your life is the song playing on the speakers of reality. If we understand this, mental negligence becomes unacceptable. Allowing a low-quality thought, I am useless, life is hard, to repeat in your head, is the equivalent of allowing a rusty, out-of-tune string to vibrate perpetually within a grand concert guitar. It doesn't matter how good the guitar is, your potential, your body, your destiny. If the string, the word, emits a dissonant frequency, the music will be unbearable. And most gravely, vibration doesn't just produce sound, vibration organizes matter. This is where the physics of sound explains why your life has the shape it does. Neuronal cymatics and the geometry of the word. There is a branch of physics called cymatics, from the Greek chyma, wave. It studies how sound vibrations affect physical matter. The classic experiment is famous. You take a flat metal plate, scatter fine sand on it, and then vibrate the plate with a violin bow or a frequency generator. What happens is pure magic, but it is physics. When the plate vibrates, the sand does not move randomly. The sand flees from areas of high vibration and accumulates in areas of stillness, nodes, forming perfect geometric patterns, mandalas, stars, hexagons. If you change the frequency of the sound, the sand instantly reorganizes into a new pattern. If the sound is harmonic, the pattern is beautiful, symmetrical, and complex. If the sound is dissonant, noise, the pattern breaks, becoming chaotic, amorphous, ugly. Now apply this to your biology. You are the plate. Your tissues, your cellular water, your proteins, and above all, your neuronal network are the sand. Your internal dialogue is the sound. Neuroplasticity is nothing more than neuronal cymatics. For years we were told the adult brain was fixed. Today we know it is plastic, malleable. It changes shape. But what tells the brain what shape to take? What pushes dendrites to grow in one direction and not another? It is the frequency of the signal passing through them repeatedly. Every time you repeat a phrase in your mind, for example, I always have bad luck, you are emitting a specific frequency. That frequency travels a neuronal route. Like a constant sound wave, it begins to move the sand, proteins, nerve growth factors, myelin. It begins to build a physical structure to support that frequency. The brain says the user is emitting the bad luck frequency, a mix of victimhood, tunnel vision, and passivity constantly. I need to optimize my structure to process this frequency with maximum efficiency. And then the brain begins to wire a bad luck highway. It thickens the connections between the amygdala, fear, and the visual cortex, so you are faster at detecting threats and slower at detecting opportunities. It disconnects the prefrontal cortex, logic, from pleasure centers. Physically, your brain acquires the geometric shape of your dominant thought. This is both terrifying and liberating. It means your personality is not who you are. Your personality is the fossilized geometric structure of your past thoughts. You are a building constructed by the words you have told yourself for the last 10, 20, or 30 years. If you look in the mirror and see someone anxious, you are not seeing your nature. You are seeing the result of decades of playing the anxiety symphony in your resonance box. Matter has organized itself to reflect that music. But here is the engineering key. If you change the sound, the sand has to move. It is not optional. It is a physical law. If you take that metal plate where the sand forms chaos and start emitting a pure harmonic frequency, the sand doesn't stay still saying, "No, I am chaotic. I have always been this way." The sand has no opinion. The sand obeys the vibration. It will dismantle and reorganize into a perfect mandala. In the same way, if you change your internal dialogue radically and sustainedly, your brain has to rewire. Grey matter will move. Old synapses will be pruned, let go, and new ones will form. You are not fighting your way of being, you are simply changing the generator's frequency. Form will follow function. Standing waves and the architecture of the ego. If thought is sound and the brain is the resonance box, why is it so hard to change? Why, even when we try to think positive one day, do we return to the same depressing mental routine the next? The answer lies in an acoustic phenomenon called a standing wave. In acoustics, a standing wave occurs when an incident wave, the one you send, hits a wall and bounces back, becoming a reflected wave. If the frequency is right, the wave going and the wave coming back synchronize perfectly. Their peaks add up, their valleys add up. The result is a wave that looks like it isn't moving. It stays still in space, vibrating with enormous amplitude. It is a zone of maximum resonance. It is a stable, energetic structure. In your mind, a limiting belief is a standing wave. It is not a passing thought crossing the sky of your mind like a cloud. It is a thought that has bounced off the walls of your subconscious so many times that it has stabilized. It has become stuck in neuronal space. I am not enough. Money is evil. Nobody loves me. These phrases are not grammatical sentences. They are columns of vibrating air supporting the roof of your identity. They have tremendous inertia. Like a standing wave in an organ pipe, they are self-powered by the background noise of your system. When you try to introduce a new positive thought, an affirmation like "I am successful," you are throwing a weak new wave against a massive old standing wave. What happens? Destructive interference. The giant wave of "I am a failure" eats the small wave of "I am successful." The affirmation bounces and dissipates, and you feel foolish for trying. The mistake most people make is trying to combat the standing wave with willpower or mechanical repetition, without changing the base frequency. To dismantle a standing wave, you cannot simply scream at it. You must do one of two things. 1. Cut the power source. Stop feeding the wave with emotional attention. 2. Introduce a disruptive frequency, a wave so sharp, potent, and different that it breaks the old wave's coherence. We will call this the sovereign decree. But before learning to destroy old waves, we must understand how they stay alive. They stay alive thanks to echo. Your skull is designed for echo. When you tell yourself something in the morning, "How tired I am," that thought does not die when you finish the sentence. It enters the thalamocortical loop. The brain starts looking for evidence to confirm that sound. The reticular system, your attention filter, adjusts to the tiredness frequency. Suddenly, you only notice your legs ache. You only notice the coffee is cold. You only notice the dark circles in the mirror. Each external confirmation acts as an amplifier that reintroduces the signal into the system. You say, "I'm tired." Right arrow. Brain looks for tiredness. Right arrow. Finds tiredness. Right arrow. Brain says, "See, it's true." Right arrow. You repeat, "I am very tired." The loop closes. The wave becomes standing. It becomes your solid reality. This is the construction mechanism of the ego. What you call me is nothing more than the sum of all the standing waves you have accumulated since childhood. Your identity is a complex musical chord composed of notes from past traumas, your parents' opinions, and wrong conclusions you drew at age 5. That chord plays 24 hours a day. It is your base frequency. That is why people recognize you, not by your face but by your vibe. Your vibe is the sound of your standing waves emanating from your body. And as we will see, that vibe dictates which people, opportunities, and misfortunes enter your life. By pure sympathetic resonance, the chemistry of sound from volts to peptides. To finish this first audit chapter, we must go down one more step in density. We have seen how thought is electricity and how it organizes neuronal structure. But how does that turn into physical illness or radiant health? How can a thought, "I am afraid," cause a stomach ulcer or a heart attack? The missing link is chemical transduction. Every thought you have occurs in the brain, but it doesn't stay in the brain. The hypothalamus, the master control center of the emotional brain, acts as a translator. It takes the electrical signal of the thought, the frequency, and translates it into a chemical signal, neuropeptides and hormones. If your internal dialogue is low frequency, worry, criticism, anger, the hypothalamus synthesizes stress chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. These chemicals are injected into the bloodstream. They travel to every cell in your body. Your cells do not have ears. They cannot hear your voice saying, "I feel threatened," but they have receptors on their membranes that are like locks, and stress chemicals are the keys. When cortisol hits the cell membrane, the cell receives the physical message. The message is, "We are at war." The cell obeys instantly. It shuts down its growth mechanisms. It shuts down its DNA repair mechanisms. It shuts down its immune system, and it goes into defense mode. If this happens once, because a lion is chasing you, it's fine. But your internal dialogue is a lion that never leaves. You spend 16 hours a day telling yourself things that generate cortisol. I can't make ends meet. My boss hates me. I'm fat. The world is dangerous. You are marinating your organs in an acid bath of chemical stress. The biophysics here is relentless. Your biography becomes your biology. The word becomes flesh, literally. The word you repeat to yourself becomes the flesh you inhabit. If you repeat words of bitterness, your face becomes bitter, your liver becomes congested, your joints stiffen. It is not a metaphor, it is the chemical crystallization of a sustained acoustic frequency. If you repeat words of gratitude and power, you release dopamine, oxytocin, growth hormone. Your cells open their doors, they repair, they shine. So, the question we close this chapter with is, what are you feeding your cells today? If you could see your mental words as pills you swallow every second, would you eat what you are thinking right now? Or would you spit it out for being poison? Most of us have been administering lethal doses of mental cyanide, drop by drop, for years, and then we wonder why we feel like we are dying. We have used our acoustic engineering machinery to compose a requiem, but the good news of engineering is that the machine is neutral. The same system that serves to create an ulcer serves to heal it. The same system that created the standing wave of poverty can create the standing wave of wealth. The machine only waits for a new input signal. It waits for the operator, you, to wake up, enter the booth, turn off the autopilot, and grab the microphone. Chapter 2: Quantum Neuro-Linguistics. To understand why your internal dialogue has the ability to freeze your bank account or make your illness chronic, we must abandon biology for a moment and enter the terrain of fundamental quantum physics. For centuries, we believed in the Newtonian model, a giant clockwork mechanism. We believed objects existed independently of whether someone looked at them. We believed reality was out there, solid and fixed. We were mere passive spectators walking through a stage built before we arrived. At the start of the 20th century, this objective reality model was shattered. The double-slit experiment changed human history forever, though most people still live as if it never happened. When physicists fired subatomic particles, electrons or photons, through two slits towards a screen, they discovered something that defied all logic. If they did not measure, observe, which slit the electron passed through, it behaved like a wave. It passed through both slits at once and interfered with itself, creating a pattern of multiple possibilities. But if they placed a detector, an eye, to see where it went, everything changed. The electron stopped being a magical, omnipresent wave and instantly became a particle. It behaved like a tiny ball of solid matter and passed through only one slit. The conclusion was devastating for materialism. The act of observing creates reality. Before observation, reality is not matter. It is a probability wave function. It is a fuzzy cloud where all possibilities exist superimposed. The electron is here and there. Schrödinger's cat is alive and dead. You are rich and poor. You are healthy and sick. Everything exists in potential within the quantum field. But the moment the conscious observer fixes their attention and measures reality, the wave collapses. All infinite possibilities die, except one. That one condenses into hard matter, the fact. Now let's bring this to your daily life. You are not a spectator in the cinema of your life. You are the projector. But there is a crucial nuance. What is the measurement tool? In the lab, they use photon detectors. In human life, the instrument is your narrative. It is your language. The observer in you is not a passive camera, it is an active commentator. You do not see the world, you interpret the world, and the tool you use to interpret is the word, your internal dialogue. Imagine you wake up with a sore throat. In that instant, at a quantum level, that sensation is a pure probability wave. It is ambiguous. It could be dryness, a change in temperature, the start of a flu, an energetic cleansing, or nothing. All those realities are superimposed. The flu does not yet exist as a solid fact. Then your internal dialogue, the observer, kicks in. Your mind says, "Oh no, my throat hurts. I surely caught the virus my co-worker had. I always get sick this time of year. A week in bed awaits me." Boom! You have just collapsed the wave. Of all infinite possibilities, you chose virus and week in bed. You used your word to measure reality. By measuring it, you fixed it. You gave the command to the quantum field. Selected reality is sickness, and the field says, copy that. Collapsing wave towards viral pathology. Immediately, your immune system drops, nocebo effect. Your cells start replicating the symptoms you decreed, and physical reality hardens around your sentence. I call this quantum neuro-linguistics. Your words act as the coordinates of collapse. The universe is a soup of amorphous energy waiting for instructions. Your words are the instructions. Every time you label something, you freeze it. Every time you say, "I am shy," you collapse the wave of your personality, which is fluid, into a solid particle of shyness. Every time you say money is hard to get, you collapse the global economy into a local experience of scarcity for yourself. Mankind's great mistake is believing we use language to describe reality. We think, "I see I am sick, therefore I say, I am sick." We think reality came first and the word second. Quantum physics of the mystic suggests the opposite. We prescribe reality. I say, "I am sick," and by saying it with conviction and emotion, I collapse the probability of illness into my body. We live in a world of prophecies. The problem is the time buffer, the delay between thought and material manifestation, confuses us. Since you don't die the exact second you think, "I want to die," you think the thought had no effect. But the collapse already occurred in the causal plane. The wave already became a particle. Now it's just a matter of time, density, for that particle to grow and hit you in the face as a physical event. Here we introduce semantic superposition. Before you speak or think a full sentence, you are in a state of total power. You are in the fertile silence. In silence, you are everything and nothing. The moment you articulate a word, you kill the other options. Language is an act of sacrificing possibilities. By saying "I am X," you sacrifice the possibilities of being Y or being Z. Speaking is a sacred and dangerous act. You are pruning the tree of life. Most people have terrible collapse hygiene. They wake up and start collapsing misfortunes by habit. What an ugly day. I don't want to work. Look how fat I am. This will never change. They are machine guns of negative collapse. They go through life shooting down every possibility of joy, wealth, and health, killing them one by one with their judgments. Then they look at their grey life and say, "See, I'm being realistic. Life is just like this." No, my friend, life isn't just like this. Life became like this because you haven't stopped narrating it this way for a single second in the last 10 years. You are the scriptwriter, director, and actor of a horror movie, and you complain that it's scary. Stop writing that script. In the second part, we will explore the exact mechanics of how language, syntax, and semantics acts as programming code for the matrix. We will see the difference between reporter language, victim, and creator language, God, and why the universe ignores desires but obeys definitions. The reporter's trap and the source code. If we accept that the observer creates reality and language is the observation tool, we must audit how we use it. Humanity operates under two opposite linguistic modes. 1, the reporter mode, passive, victim. 2, the creator mode, active, a sovereign. 95% of the population lives and dies in reporter mode. The reporter believes their job is to narrate the truth of what is happening. They look at their bank account, see zero, and say, "I have no money." They look at the scale and say, "I am overweight." The reporter feels honest and realistic. They believe saying otherwise would be lying or denial. But here is the deadly quantum trap. What you observe persists. By reporting current reality, you are recollapsing it. Physical reality is like a wave that renews itself. The now is not a still photo. It is a flow. Your bank balance today is the result of your wave collapses from yesterday. If you look at that echo and name it again, "I have no money," you are injecting that dead energy into your future. You are recycling scarcity. The reporter mode is an infinite loop. I observe scarcity. Do I tarot? I say there is scarcity. Do I tarot? I collapse more scarcity. Do I tarot? I observe more scarcity. It is the hamster wheel of karma. The creator mode breaks the wheel. The creator understands that current reality is irrelevant. The creator doesn't use language to describe what they see with physical eyes. They use language to describe what they choose with the mind's eye. They look at a zero balance and say, "I am in the process of generating massive wealth." The void is space for fullness. The reporter screams, "Liar, look at the balance." But the creator knows quantum physics. They know that naming wealth in the middle of poverty introduces a new frequency into the system. They are emitting an interference wave that breaks the pattern of scarcity. This is not denying reality. If you have a debt, you pay it, physical action. But you don't identify with it, quantum action. You don't say, "I am a debtor." You say, "I am resolving a temporary financial challenge while building my empire." The energetic difference is nuclear. One sentence sinks you into fear, cortisol paralysis. The other raises you to the solution frequency, dopamine, creativity. Let's talk about the syntax of creation. Words are not just labels, they are code. Your reality is software, and your mind is the command console. The most powerful command, the pseudo of reality, is "I am." Everything you put after "I am" is not an opinion. It is a definition of identity. The universe takes everything following "I am" as an absolute mandate. I am clumsy, right arrow accepted, executing motor clumsiness. People use "I am" with suicidal irresponsibility. They curse themselves 100 times a day. "I'm a mess, I'm an idiot, I'm poor." The mental alchemist watches their "I am" like a hawk. They never, under any circumstance, attach a negative label to their "I am." Even if they make a mistake, they never say "I am a failure." They say, "I made a mistake in this specific action, but I am a fast and capable learner." They decouple identity, being, from behavior, doing, and circumstance, having. This keeps their base frequency clean. Another dangerous command is the verb want or need. I want money. I need love. In the source code of the universe, these words vibrate in the frequency of absence. You only want what you don't have. By saying "I want to heal," you confirm you are not healthy. The universe is a literal mirror. If you say "I want money," the universe says, "Correct. You want money. I grant you the state of wanting money. You will keep wanting it eternally without having it, because that is the vibration you emit. It keeps you in unsatisfied desire." The creator changes the verb. They move from want to have or am. Even if it hasn't physically arrived, they affirm it in the present. I have ironclad health. I am abundant. This is called faith, scientific faith. It is the certainty that possession frequency forces alignment. Physics says two dissonant frequencies cannot coexist for long. Either you drop to the frequency of your reality, poverty, or reality rises to your frequency, money appears. Whoever holds the highest, most stable frequency wins. The problem is, most people give in. They maintain "I am rich" for 2 minutes, look at a bill, get scared, and go back to "I am poor." They lose the quantum pulse. Mastery is holding the elevated "I am" against contrary evidence long enough for matter, which is slow and dense, to have time to reorganize. Quantum language has strict rules. One present tense. The future doesn't exist. Subconscious only understands now. To add a positive, subconscious doesn't process no. Don't say I don't want to be fat. Say I am lean and strong. 3. Emotional charge. A cold word is inert code. A felt word is living code. Your logical mind will scream that you are a liar. You aren't rich. You must redefine what truth is. For the reporter, truth is past facts, the current balance. For the creator, truth is the first cause, the vibration you emit now. You are selecting a timeline. Chapter 3. The Subliminal Saboteur. We have established that your mind is a radio station that never turns off, and that reality is the faithful listener that materializes everything you broadcast. Thus far, the theory is empowering. If I change the station, I change my life. It seems like a simple engineering equation. However, anyone who has attempted this change knows there is brutal resistance. You wake up determined to broadcast the success frequency. You repeat affirmations. You visualize. You feel good for 15 minutes. But by mid-morning, your energy drops, and a grey mist descends on you. Suddenly, you find yourself thinking, who am I kidding? This won't work. I'm a fraud. What happened? Why did the system reset to the factory settings, fear, scarcity, without your permission? It happened because you are not alone in the transmission booth. There is a second signal. This signal operates in the range of infrasounds. In acoustics, infrasound is a wave with a frequency so low, below 20 Hz, that the human ear cannot consciously hear it. However, the body feels it. High-intensity infrasounds can cause nausea, panic, and blurred vision. Your mind has an exact equivalent. There are thoughts so old and deep that you no longer hear them as grammatical sentences. They have become a background hum. They are psychic infrasounds. You don't think, I'm worthless. You simply are the vibration of, I'm worthless. To audit this infrasound, we must do acoustic archaeology. We must go down to the basement of your psyche and see when the parasitic program was installed. No one is born with a saboteur. A baby is a perfect learning machine. A baby has no doubt, no shame. Its frequency is clean. The saboteur is installed software. This installation usually occurs between ages 0 and 7. During this period, a child's brain operates in theta waves. Theta is a state of deep hypnosis. The child has no developed critical firewall. They accept everything as absolute truth. Imagine you are 4 years old singing happily in the living room. Your father arrives home stressed and shouts, "Shut up! You're always annoying, you're unbearable." For the child in theta, this is a reality collapse event. Their brain records, "My voice annoys. To be loved, I must be invisible." That decree sinks into the kernel of the operating system. 20 years later, you want to ask for a raise. Conscientiously, you think, I can do it. But the moment you open your mouth, the parasitic program detects the violation of the be invisible rule and triggers the alarm. Your hands sweat. Your brain goes blank. It's not shyness. It's an acoustic implant from 2 decades ago still vibrating an infrasound, sabotaging your current signal. The saboteur is not you. It is a security recording designed to protect you. Back then, staying quiet protected you from your father's anger. It was a successful survival strategy. The saboteur saved you. The problem is the software never updated. You are still running Child Protection v1.0 on adult hardware that needs Adult Expansion v Pro. The saboteur thinks you are still 4 years old. It tells you, don't go out there, stay small here, no one screams at us. The saboteur's voice is deceptive because it uses your own voice. It sounds like you, but you can identify it by its tone and frequency. The voice of your true self is calm and authoritative. The saboteur's voice is, 1. Absolutist, uses words like always or never. 2. Urgent and anxious, creates instant cortisol. 3. Repetitive, a loop that doesn't evolve. 4. Cruel, says things you wouldn't accept from an enemy. This parasitic program occupies massive mental bandwidth. We process 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% are the same as yesterday, and most are negative. You are dedicating most of your computing energy to keeping the parasite alive. You are feeding the ghost that scares you. The biophysics of this is stark. A standing wave requires constant energy. Trauma is not something that happened, it is something you are sustaining right now. To keep the belief, "I am not enough," active, your brain fires that network thousands of times a day. The saboteur is an energetic vampire. Why do you feel chronically tired? Because you are running a war simulation in the background 24 hours a day. Your conscious mind tries to write an email, but your subconscious is fighting to not be annihilated by an imaginary father. Identifying the parasitic program is the first step of the exorcism, the extraction of malicious code. You can't erase it with positive thinking. Putting a happy sticker over a melting nuclear reactor doesn't work. You have to go to the core and hear the infrasound. Next time you feel a sudden energy drop, stop. Close your eyes and listen. What is sounding under the silence? If you pay attention, you will hear the whisper. You won't be able to. They'll laugh at you. There it is. You've caught it. That is not you. That is the implant. The moment you observe it as an external object, here is the "I'm worthless" program running. You cease to be the program. You become the observer. And in quantum terms, the observer is the one with their finger on the collapse switch, feeding the noise and the invisibility mechanism. If the saboteur were just an old recording, it would be easy to discard. But it behaves like a living entity with an instinct for self-preservation. It needs food. What does a thought eat? Attention and emotion. We enter a perverse dynamic, addiction to familiar pain. Biochemically, your body can become addicted to stress neuropeptides. If you have generated cortisol for 20 years based on victimhood, your cells have modified their receptors to expect that drug. If you suddenly feel peace, your cells go into withdrawal. They scream, "Where is my dose of suffering?" The brain, obedient to the body's chemical demand, activates the saboteur. It finds a thought to guarantee emotional pain. Remember when your ex left you? It will happen again. Boom, thought fired. You react, you feel the sting. Your cells get their chemical bath. The saboteur receives its energy quota. This feedback cycle explains why we self-sabotage exactly when things go well. Your happiness thermostat was set too high. The saboteur detected you were leaving the familiar zone of suffering and activated the correction mechanisms. It needed to lower your frequency to match its programmed identity. The saboteur provokes crises to harvest energy, a dynamic sometimes called louche. An angry outburst is a feast for the saboteur. Its most sophisticated tool is invisibility. The devil presents himself with your own face. He convinces you that those critical voices are your personality. He tells you, "I'm not negative, I'm being realistic." But the saboteur selects data to prove his hypothesis of fear. There is an infallible test to distinguish the saboteur from real prudence. Prudence protects you from present danger. The saboteur protects you from future expansion. If the voice stops you from growing, it's a parasite. Why is this program so hard to detect? Because it's constant, like the hum of a refrigerator. If you live in a house for 10 years, you no longer hear the fridge. You only hear it when it turns off. You think that background anxiety is just what it means to be alive. When you begin to practice active silence, the noise becomes deafening. By removing external stimuli, you stop covering the mental hum. People say, "Meditation makes me nervous." No, you are simply now hearing what you have been thinking all day. You've lifted the veil. That moment of horror, "My mind is hell," is the beginning of freedom. You cannot clean what you don't see. How do we eliminate a program that eats our attention? Direct fighting doesn't work. If you argue with the saboteur, you lose. He has all your memory files. The only way to win is to starve it. The technique is neutral observation. When the parasitic thought "this will go wrong" arises, 1. Recognize it. There's the fear of the future program. 2. Disidentify. Don't say "I'm afraid," say "I perceive a signal of fear." 3. Don't react. Don't get angry. Don't try to change it. Let it be like a radio in another room. Tell it, "I hear you, but I don't obey you. I won't give you my emotion today." At first, the saboteur will scream louder, but if you deny it the chemical food of your emotional reaction, the neuronal connection weakens. The parasite dies of starvation. In the space left by that noise, the frequency of your intuition and real power begins to emerge. But don't get overconfident. The Saboteur is patient. Audit your mind daily. Just as you brush your teeth to remove bacteria, audit your mind to remove parasites. Chapter 4. The Monitor at the Door. Imagine for a moment that your physical house had no doors, windows, or walls. Imagine that anyone passing by on the street could walk into your living room, open your fridge, sleep in your bed, or scream in your ear, and you had no legal or physical mechanism to stop them. You would live in a state of constant terror. It would be absolute chaos. To avoid this, we build walls, we put on locks, we install alarms, we have a clear concept of private property and boundaries. However, when we look at your mental house, the situation is exactly that nightmare. Your mind operates under an indiscriminate open borders policy. Any thought, any external suggestion, any traumatic memory, or any collective fear frequency can enter your consciousness without anyone asking for identification. They walk in and sit on the sofa of your attention. They eat the food of your vital energy and dirty the carpet of your mood. And you, the owner of the house, stand there stunned, thinking, "Gee, I feel sad today." You don't feel sad. You have been invaded. You have allowed an illegal occupant, a low-frequency thought, to take possession. This chapter is about building the mental customs. It's about developing and installing a monitor at the door. In consciousness engineering terms, this is called vigilant metacognition. Most human beings are thinkers. They are fused with the thought stream. "I think, therefore I am," said Descartes. The acoustic engineer says, "I observe what I think, therefore I am sovereign." The difference between being the thought and observing it is the difference between being hit by a train and watching the train pass from the platform. The train is the same, mental energy, but your relative position determines if it kills you or simply informs you. To understand the urgency of this audit, we must talk about economy. Your brain consumes 24% of your body's total energy, even though it is only 2% of your weight. It is a costly machine. Every thought that crosses the threshold of your attention and is accepted as valid consumes glucose and oxygen. But more importantly, every accepted thought triggers a neurochemical cascade. If you let in the thought, "I think my partner is cheating," your brain acts. Your brain, which doesn't distinguish imagination from reality, begins to spend a massive energy budget to prepare you for war. It raises blood pressure, it dilates pupils, it hijacks blood from the digestive system. You have spent life credits on a hallucination. The monitor at the door is the budget manager. Its job is to stop the thought at the entrance and ask, "Does this thought bring energy or steal energy? Does this thought deserve for me to invest my precious neurotransmitters in it?" If the answer is no, the monitor denies the visa. Is it really possible to stop a thought? Neuroscience gives us both good and bad news. The bad: you cannot prevent the thought from appearing. Thoughts are automatic discharges, often random, generated by the default mode network, DMN. They are like pop-ups on a screen. The good: there is a time gap. Benjamin Libet discovered a delay of a few milliseconds between the brain impulse and conscious action. Viktor Frankl expressed it best: between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. That space is the monitor's domain. Without training, that space is so small, milliseconds, it seems non-existent. Thought, "You are stupid." Itaro kat. Immediate reaction, sadness. The monitor trains to widen the gap. With radical auditing practice, you manage to stretch time. The thought, "You are stupid," reaches the door, but instead of going straight to the living room, it meets the monitor. There is a second of silence. The monitor looks at the thought. It analyzes it. It sees it is a corrupt data packet sent by the Saboteur, and it says, "Access denied." The thought dissolves at the door. There is no emotional reaction, no cortisol, no drama. Simply, you have seen the trash and you haven't brought it into your home. The biggest obstacle to installing the monitor is identification. You believe your thoughts are you. When you hear the voice in your head saying, "I'm afraid," you assume that voice is your essence. To audit, you need to practice tactical dissociation. You have to treat your mind not as yourself, but as just another organ, just as your stomach sometimes makes weird noises. You don't say, "I am a stomach noise." Your brain sometimes produces garbage thoughts, and you shouldn't say, "I am this thought." Your mind is a biocomputer generating data. You are the user. The monitor is that part of you that is eternal, silent, and immune. It is the witness. The monitor doesn't judge. It only classifies. It doesn't get angry with negative thoughts. That would be another negative thought. It simply labels them as noise and lets them pass. I want you to visualize your mind as an exclusive high-frequency club. Inside the club, there is only joy, power, and love. Outside in the street is a line of doubtful characters, fears, doubts, envies. They all want in. Until today, you had no bouncer. Anyone walked in and trashed the place. From today, you hire the world's strictest bouncer. He is called mindfulness, and he has strict orders. If you aren't wearing high-frequency shoes, you don't get in. But how do you do this in the heat of battle? You need field tools. You need a scanner. In the second part, I will teach you to use the mental recorder. You will learn to classify every thought into 3 categories: signal, noise, or contraband. Get ready. We are going to close the border. Interception, protocols, and the mental recorder. The monitor theory is elegant, but the practice is guerrilla warfare. Your mind has been on autopilot for decades. Negative thoughts have vested rights over your attention and won't yield easily. To win, you need tactical saturation. You must audit your mind constantly. Here are the 3 engineering tools for real-time auditing. Tool 1. The mental recorder. This is an active visualization exercise. Imagine you wear an invisible device around your neck. It's a high-fidelity recorder logging every word that passes through your mind. But it doesn't just record audio. It has a screen transcribing the text in real time like movie subtitles. Your task is not to change the script. Your task is to read the subtitles. When in a crisis, stop and visualize the screen. What does it say? "This is unfair. I can't take it." By visualizing the thought as external text on a screen, you break the emotional fusion. You move from being the suffering to reading the suffering. That micro-distance is all you need to regain control. You realize how dramatic the scriptwriter of your mind is being today. The moment you observe the thought as an external object, you strip it of 50% dollars of its voltage. It is no longer inside you, it is in front of you. Tool 2. The labeling protocol. The monitor doesn't argue with intruders. Arguing validates them. The monitor labels. When you detect a thought entering, label it immediately into one of 3 types. 1. Signal, useful thought, high frequency, operational or creative thoughts. I need to buy bread. What a beautiful sky. Action, let pass. 2. Noise, junk thought, passive, low frequency. Repetitive, useless complaints. It's so hot. Look how ugly that person is. They are like dust. Action, ignore, don't engage. Finally, contraband, toxic thought, active, low frequency. Bomb packets from the Saboteur. You'll never make it. You are alone. Action, intercept and neutralize. Here you apply the veto. Use your internal voice to say a cut-off word, stop, no, rejected. Visualize a giant red stamp slamming over the thought, denied. Then apply the security questions. Tool 3. The security questions, the scanner. Ask these questions to any painful thought, contraband. Question 1. Is this 100% true? Everyone is laughing at you. Is it true? Do I have physical proof? No. It's a hallucination of my insecurity. Question 2. Is this thought mine? Many are echoes of your parents or society. Does this voice sound like me? No, it sounds like my worried mother, not mine. Returning it. Question 3. Does it give me energy or take it away? This is the voltage test. If believing this makes me weaker, it is a virus. No real truth weakens you. Truth empowers you. The sampling audit practice. You can't watch 100% dollars of the time at first. Start with random samples, set an alarm every hour. When it rings, freeze. Audit the last 5 minutes. What were you thinking? In what frequency were you vibrating? If you catch a negative loop, don't judge. Simply say, Curious, I was emitting noise, resetting frequency now. And return to the present. The effect of sustained auditing is shocking. You will discover that 90% of your suffering is optional. You don't suffer from what happens, but from what your drunk narrator tells you. The monitor at the door fires the drunk narrator. Suddenly, reality becomes much simpler. Problems remain, but without the heavy dramatic load. They are just data to manage. You've stopped adding the acoustic drama layer to life. Your mind becomes silent. But it's not an empty silence. It's high-fidelity silence, like being in a soundproof recording studio. When you speak, your voice sounds crystal clear. Your manifestation decrees start working fast because they don't have to compete with background noise. The signal is pure. You have reclaimed your territorial sovereignty. Your mind is your house, and from now on, you reserve the right of admission. Chapter 5, the Cancellation Protocol. Let's be realistic. No matter how trained your monitor at the door is, you're going to fail. You're human. You get tired, hungry, or stressed. In that moment of weakness, the subliminal saboteur will strike. It will launch a toxic thought, a humiliating memory, or a terror of the future. The thought will enter your limbic system. The hypothalamus will instantly translate it into chemistry. Before you can say, "I am sovereign," you will feel the adrenaline dump in your chest or the knot in your stomach. The invasion has begun. The enemy is inside the perimeter. Most self-help teachings tell you to think positive immediately. They tell you to cover fear with flowers. As a mind engineer, I tell you that is a catastrophic tactical error. Attempting to impose a positive thought over a nervous system screaming "red alert" creates violent dissonance. It is like trying to paint a wall while the house is on fire. The paint won't stick, and you will get burned. When the toxic thought has already activated the emotional response, you don't need decoration. You need an extinguisher. You need a mission abort protocol. Here enters the physics of the wave function collapse in progress. Reality materializes when the observer collapses the wave function. But collapse is not instantaneous in the physical world. It has inertia. There is a critical time window between the emotional trigger and solidification. Neuroscientist Jill Boulter-Taylor identified this as the 90-second rule. When you have a reactive thought, a chemical response is triggered. Chemicals are poured into the bloodstream and flushed out. The life cycle of that chemical wave is approximately 90 seconds. This means that, physiologically, you can only be angry or scared for a minute and a half. If you are still angry after 90 seconds, it is no longer physiology. It is a choice. You are refiring the circuit. You are rethinking the thought, reloading the gun, and firing again. Most people keep the cycle alive for hours or years, turning a 90-second wave into a chronic mood. The cancellation protocol is designed to intervene within that window or cut the recharge cycle. Its goal is to stop the energetic hemorrhage. It is a quantum tourniquet. Phase 1. The abrupt interruption, the circuit breaker. The brain works by electrical patterns. An activated neural network is like a high-speed train. You cannot stop it by asking nicely. You need to derail the train. For this, we use the cutoff word. When you realize you are in a negative spiral, do not argue with the thought. Shout, internally or aloud, a system command, cancelled. Other options include erased, stop, or cut, like a film director. Do not say it timidly. Say it with a general's authority. The goal of this internal shout is to create an electrical signal peak that momentarily overwrites the noise. It is like a loud clap to wake a sleepwalker. The abrupt interruption breaks the synaptic pattern. The brain enters shock for a fraction of a second. That microsecond of silence after the shout "cancelled" is pure gold. It is the space where you regain command. Phase 2. The declaration of falsehood, deactivating truth. Once you have cut the flow, the thought will try to re-enter. But it's true you might get fired, the saboteur will say. Apply the second step. Remove the truth label. The thought hurts only because you believe it is real. Reclassify it immediately. Say, "This is not a prediction, this is a memory of fear." Or say, "This is just static. It is not valid information." By removing its validity, you strip its power to collapse reality. Remember, the universe manifests what you believe, not just think. If you think I'm going to die but immediately label it as system junk error, the universe ignores the file. The cancellation protocol acts like the recycle bin on your computer. The file is there, but since it is marked as deleted, the operating system stops executing it. Phase 3. The physical drain flushing the chemical. If you arrived late and cortisol is already in your blood, do not stay still. Thought is mind, but emotion is body. Trapped kinetic energy, fight or flight, needs to exit. If you sit there repeating cancelled, energy rots. Move. Shake your hands. Get up and take a quick walk. Do 3 explosive breaths, exhaling hard through the mouth. Imagine you are shaking off dust or mud. This physical movement tells your reptilian brain, action has been taken, the threat has been managed. It closes the 90-second stress cycle. This protocol has a fascinating cumulative effect. At first, you might use it 50 times a day, but every time you interrupt a neural circuit, you weaken it. Long-term depression, LTD. Eventually, the negative thought simply slips away. Destructive interference and the alchemy of the void. You have shouted, cancelled. You stopped the train, you shook your body. Now you are in ground zero, it's a strange moment. You feel the echo of adrenaline fading, but your mind is alert. The rookie mistake is trying to jump from panic, 100, to euphoria, or 100 in a second. Your subconscious will reject that command. If you force a high frequency on an unstable bass, you create chaotic interference. Acoustic engineering gives us a better solution, destructive interference. In noise-cancelling tech, you don't scream over noise. You generate a sound wave that is the exact inverse, antiphase of the noise. When the noise wave, peak up, meets the cancellation wave, peak down, they add up to 0, blah 1 plus 1, how 0. The result is silence. The goal of the protocol is neutrality, not yet happiness. Neutrality is the point of power. From 0 you can go anywhere. The 0-point technique, neutralization. To achieve destructive interference, use phrases that disarm the drama without lying. Fear feeds on importance and catastrophe. The inverse wave is tactical indifference. After saying cancelled, use a neutralization phrase. So what? Thought, they'll think you're a fraud. You cancelled. So what? If they think it, let them. I'm still here. By accepting the worst-case scenario without resistance, you pull the teeth out of fear. You collapse the terror wave into an irrelevant fact. Interesting point of view, thought, you'll never get out of debt. You cancelled. Interesting point of view, mind. Thanks for sharing. I'm not buying it, but thanks. Treat the thought as a bad sales pitch. Don't get angry, just don't buy. I don't know. Thought, this will be a disaster. You cancelled. The truth is, I don't know what will happen. It could be a disaster or a blessing in disguise. You trade the certainty of disaster for the uncertainty of possibility. Uncertainty gives the spirit freedom. The rewriting phase, the synthesis command. Once you have reached neutrality, it is safe to insert new code. The ground is clear to sow, but do not sow fantasies, sow direction. Use the command, I change that energy for, or, the truth is. Example, the attack, you'll look like a fool. The cut, stop, cancelled. Breathe, shake arms. The neutralization. That's just an old memory of insecurity. So what if I mess up? I don't depend on their applause. The rewriting. The truth is, I have something valuable to give. See the difference? You didn't jump to, I am the best orator in the world, a lie. You moved to service when purpose. You transmuted the energy. The alchemy of fire, using fear as fuel. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. The massive energy of a panic attack is high-octane fuel. The frequency master does mental judo. Fear is excitement without breath. If you add the label enthusiasm, it's identical. When you apply the protocol, don't try to turn off the intensity. Try saying, wow, so much energy. My body is giving me a lot of power. I'm going to use this voltage to be hyper-present. You turn anxiety into radical presence. You use the fire to power your locomotive. The side effect, steal confidence. Knowing you have the cancellation protocol in your pocket gives you indestructible confidence. You're no longer afraid of your own thoughts. You have a parachute. You know you can abort the mission in 3 seconds and reset the system. This makes you relax deeply. And paradoxically, when you stop being afraid of negative thoughts, they stop appearing. The saboteur gets bored. It no longer generates a reaction. It no longer harvests louche. It goes to find an easier victim. Chapter 6. Semantic Detox. If we accept the fundamental premise of this book, that thought is an acoustic and electrical event that organizes matter, then we must accept an inevitable logical consequence. Words are executable files, exe. They are not simple labels. They are scripts that execute specific functions. Most people operate their lives with dirty source code, full of syntax errors and contradictory commands. They wake up and say, "I'm going to try to have a good day, although it's hard. Hopefully nothing bad happens." In one sentence, they executed 3 voltage drop commands. They have programmed failure, resistance, and impotence. Semantic detox is not about social etiquette or speaking correctly to look cultured. It is a matter of power engineering. Some words act as resistors in a circuit. They dissipate energy as useless heat and reduce current intensity. In this first part, we will identify the most dangerous linguistic viruses. These are words you use daily that seem innocent, but are structurally designed to keep you in the frequency of poverty, doubt, and victimhood. By eliminating them, you will release a massive amount of energy. Virus number 1, try, the code of preventive failure. This is the most toxic word in the human dictionary. I'm going to try to do it. It sounds noble, like effort, but energetically, it is a confession of anticipated defeat. When you say try, you send contradictory signals to your brain. The command try implies the possibility of failure. It presupposes it. In your mind's source code, try not do. It is a programmed excuse. It is a back door you leave open to run away when things get tough and say, "Well, at least I tried." Try is the consolation of the mediocre. Master Yoda gave the most accurate biophysics lesson in cinema history. Do or do not. There is no try. It is a computational binary. Either the switch is on, 1, or off, 0. Trying is an intermediate short circuit, 0.5, that burns the wire. The antidote, replace it with I will. Virus number 2, hopefully, I hope, the renunciation of sovereignty. When you say I hope, you are taking the command center out of yourself and placing it in uncontrollable external factors. You place yourself in the position of a passive victim waiting for a sentence. You vibrate in the frequency of passive hope, which is the cousin of despair. He who waits does not create. Energetically, you are sitting in the waiting room of your own life while fate decides for you. The antidote. Replace it with I trust, I select, or I create. Instead of I hope it goes well, say, I trust it will go well and I will do everything necessary for it. You move from being a beggar, waiting for a coin, to being an architect, designing a blueprint. Your attitude shifts from fearful passivity to internal certainty and command. Virus number 3, I can't, the concrete wall. This phrase is a total system lock. When your brain hears I can't, it immediately shuts down the solution-seeking engines. It is the definitive closing of the floodgate. It is a lazy lie. It usually means, I don't want to pay the price. The antidote. Replace it with how could I, or I decide not to. Instead of I can't afford it, say, how could I generate the money to pay for it? This opens the brain to opportunities. I can't makes you a victim. I decide not to makes you the owner of your priorities. Virus number 4, I need the black hole. As we saw, the word need vibrates in scarcity. By affirming need, you affirm absence, but there is more. Need generates repulsion. Energetically, need is sticky and repellent. The universe fills structures that radiate, not voids that suck. The antidote. Replace it with I require, I prefer, or I am generating. For this project, I require 1,000 euros. Technical tone, no drama. I prefer to have a partner, but I am complete alone. Sovereignty. I am generating the conditions for my vacation. Action. Virus number 5. Little by little. The curse of diminutives. This is a decree of slowness and scarcity. Why go little by little when you can go step by step? A step can be giant. Language like, I want to earn a little money, tells your subconscious that you are afraid of greatness. The antidote: eliminate diminutives. Speak with real-sized nouns. Replace little by little with constantly or step by step. You don't have a little business, you have a business. You don't want a little salary, you want wealth. Occupy your full semantic space. The kinesiologist's test: the body does not lie. Applied kinesiology shows that the body loses muscle strength when exposed to false or negative frequencies. If you say, I'll try, it's hard, I can't, your physical strength will drop by $30 ext 50% dollars. Your words regulate your biology. The high-frequency dictionary and the architecture of power. We have purged the system. It is time to install the golden bricks. The high-frequency dictionary is a list of functional words designed to conserve energy, direct focus, and assume responsibility. These changes give you back the remote control of your life. Code change 1. From problem to challenge on situation. Problem evokes anguish and guilt. Your reptilian brain closes up. Challenge evokes play and growth. Your brain releases dopamine and noradrenaline. Curiosity wakes up. Drama is replaced by operational management. Code change 2. From I have to I choose I am going to. I have to is the language of the slave. It generates internal resistance and resentment. Change it to I choose. This restores your agency. Fatigue decreases because mental resistance disappears instantly. Code change 3. From expense to investment circulation. If you pay a bill and say what a huge expense, you program loss. Money is energy. Energy circulates. When you pay for food, say, I am investing in the nutrition of my biology. The money then returns much faster. Code change 4. From but to and, the integration. The word but denies what came before it. I want to start a business, but I'm afraid means fear is bigger than desire. Replace it with and. I want to start a business, and I am afraid. Inclusion allows you to move forward. Code change 5. From guilt to responsibility. Guilt looks for someone to hang. Responsibility looks for how to fix it. Never say, I feel guilty. Say, I assume responsibility for my acts and proceed to correct the error. It is surgical. No drama. Only corrective engineering. Code change 6. From always never to at this moment. Saboteur language is absolutist. I always arrive late decrees an eternal law. I arrived late today describes a modifiable fact. Eliminate generalizations. Be specific in time. Do not let a single error stain your identity. The silence diet, word fasting. To install this new software, you need to reset the system. For the next 24 hours, speak as little as possible. Before saying any sentence, pass it through the monitor filter. If it contains viruses or passive complaints, delete it. Speak with power. Chapter 7. The Sovereign Decree. If we analyze the spiritual and psychological history of humanity, we find a pathological behavior pattern repeated in almost every culture, the posture of the cosmic beggar. For millennia, we have been taught that the correct way to interact with power is from the bottom up. We have been trained to drop to our knees, bow our heads, and ask, please give me health. Please make me get the money. This posture, though culturally accepted as humble, is a catastrophic engineering error. Pleading is the most inefficient access code that exists. The universe is not a benevolent grandfather moved by your tears. It is a mechanical quantum mirror. The mirror does not judge, it reflects. It doesn't have the capacity to pity you. It simply reads your vibratory frequency and returns more of the same to you. When you are in pleading mode, what is your base frequency? Pleading is based on absence and scarcity. You vibrate in, I am small, I am empty, I have no power. That is the signal you emit, and the field responds, received. Your identity is small and empty. Granted. This is the tragedy of the begging prayer. Millions of honest people pray with all their might, yet their lives remain an inferno of scarcity. It's not a punishment. They are using the wrong code. You cannot create abundance from the frequency of need. The paradigm shift proposed here is the move from pleading to the sovereign decree. The decree does not ask, it orders. But beware, it does not order from the arrogance of the ego, but from the authority of alignment. It is like having root access or admin privileges. A guest user, beggar, can open files and look, but cannot change the system configuration. An administrator, sovereign, has access to the source code. He can delete, create, and rewrite. When the admin types a command, the system does not ask why. The system executes. To emit a sovereign decree, you must first feel sovereign. This is the hardest part. You have spent years feeling like an employee, a debtor, or a victim. If you try to decree, "I am wealth," with slumped shoulders, your subconscious will laugh at you. The first step is postural and energetic. You have to put on the crown before opening your mouth. You are an eternal consciousness operating a temporary biosuit. When you align with that truth, you stop asking permission to exist. Your desire is your right. A decree is a high coherence shockwave. Pleading is a fuzzy, shaky wave. The decree is a laser. When you say, "Let it be," or "I command," you eliminate doubt, which is destructive interference. By removing doubt, the signal comes out clean. By saying, "I command perfect health to manifest in my cells now," you are not asking if it's possible. You are establishing a new local law. Your cells, hearing the voice of authority, stop vibrating in sickness and begin to align with the new mandate. True authority speaks quietly because it knows its word is law. It doesn't need to scream. The real decree is said with absolute calm. It is the calm of the king who signs a paper and hands it over, knowing his armies will move without him having to leave the throne. Break the fear of your own voice. The first time you decree with strength, your voice might tremble. The 100th time, the voice resonates in your bones and the air in the room changes density. You have reclaimed your administrator privileges. The syntax of authority and the fiat protocol. If the attitude is the king, grammar is his scepter. A king who mumbles confused orders does not govern. For a decree to pierce the resistance of the quantum field, it must follow a specific power syntax. It must be surgical, clean code. The structure of a sovereign decree has 3 parts. 1. The anchor, identity of authority. 2. The command, specific instruction. 3. The seal, irrevocable closing. 1. The anchor, I am. Never start with the desire. Don't say, "I want money." First, identify yourself to the system. Show your admin badge. The universal credential is I am. You are invoking your essential identity above your small personality. 2. The command, present, positive, and definitive. Most people fail by using conditional or future language. Decree that I will have money. Error. Will have places it in the future, a carrot you never reach. It must be, decree that money flows to me now. The decree must also be positive. Don't say, "to decree that I am no longer sick." The subconscious hears sick. Say, "Decree perfect health and vitality in every cell." Use action verbs, I manifest, I activate, I claim, I assume, I am. The fiat, let it be. The Latin word fiat is the command of creation, fiat lux. You can use this for impersonal commands over your reality. Let there be abundance in my accounts. Let the perfect solution manifest. 3. The seal, it is done. A decree is not left open, it is sealed. It's like pressing the enter key. The seal tells the subconscious, modification closed, execute. Potent formulas include, it is done, it is done, it is done, or thank you, for it is already fulfilled. Sovereign decree example. From my I am presence, I take control of this situation. I decree that the perfect and harmonic solution manifests now. I have the wisdom and strength to resolve it. Thank you, for it is done. Feel the chest expand as you read it. The power is not in the volume, but in the resonance. This is subvocal intensity. It is a voice that comes from the belly, hara, not the throat. Every word must weigh a ton. Don't rush. Let the vibrations settle. Feel each word hit reality like a hammer. The quantum imposter syndrome is normal. When you decree wealth while in debt, your logical mind will call you a liar. Do not stop. This friction means you are stretching reality. Tell your mind, I am not describing the present, I am dictating the future. Silence and obey. The daily lightning practice. Don't use decrees only for emergencies. Use them to sculpt your day. In the morning, emit your first mandates. I decree today is a day of high flow. I am awakened vitality. You are programming the GPS of your day. Once you have said it is done, let go. Do not ruminate or worry. If you worry, you cancel the decree with a frequency of doubt. A king gives an order and then goes about his business. Trust your system. That detachment is the final proof of faith in your own authority. Chapter 8: Cardiac Resonance. You have come far. You have audited your thoughts, eliminated poverty words, and learned to emit sovereign decrees with perfect syntax. And yet, you might still be failing. You might shut yourself in your room and say, I am limitless abundance, but the quantum field needle doesn't move. Why? Because you are making the parrot's error. You are repeating correct sounds, but the signal is empty. It is a hollow shell. You have built a beautiful rocket, the decree, but you have forgotten the fuel. A rocket without fuel is just an expensive sculpture. Everything in the universe works through electromagnetic fields. Let's break that down. Electromagnetic. It has two components. 1. The electrical component, information. Your brain is the main generator. Thoughts and words define what you want. They are the steering wheel. 2. The magnetic component, attraction. Your heart is the main generator. HeartMath Institute has proven that the heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. Emotion is a magnetic phenomenon. It defines how strongly you pull the experience toward you. Here is the engineering flaw. Most people use only the brain. They think, I want the ideal partner, but their heart feels loneliness or fear. This creates destructive interference. The brain says, come, but the heart says, stay away. Since the heart is 5,000 times stronger, it wins. The universe receives the net signal, fear, and it returns solitude. The parrot believes magic lies in mechanical repetition. The universe doesn't care about repetition. It cares about your vibratory signature. A word without emotion is a null signature, just static noise. For a sovereign decree to work, thought, brain, and emotion, heart, must be perfectly aligned. They must enter phase and vibrate in unison. This is called cardiac coherence. When you achieve this, the wave is amplified. You become a high-power transmitter. But here is the hurdle. How do you feel rich when the reality screams you are broke? How do you generate gratitude before the event occurs? This paradox separates apprentices from masters. The apprentice waits to see, to feel. The master feels to see. Your heart is a projection organ with its own nervous system of 40,000 neurons. Most people have their hearts in passive reactive mode. They only feel joy if they win the lottery. They have delegated control of their magnetic motor to external circumstances. Cardiac resonance engineering consists of taking manual control of the heart. It's learning to manufacture emotion at will. It's not faking it. The body doesn't know how to fake. If you generate gratitude chemistry in your blood, for the quantum field, it is already happening. Your biology doesn't distinguish between a real experience and an internal one lived with high emotional charge. If you cry with joy in your meditation, that success is a fact. The external holographic reality is mathematically forced to reorganize to match your internal state. The mirror's reflection must smile if you smile first. Speaking without feeling is dangerous. You train your subconscious not to believe you. Every time you affirm what your heart denies, you widen the gap of doubt. It is better to be silent than to lie vibrationally. We have come to create, not to be silent. The only way out is learning to ignite the heart on command. We must provoke the spark of passion and certainty even in the darkest hole. That is what gods do. They generate order in chaos. They are the generator, not the battery. In the second part, I will teach you the exact technique, the elevator protocol. how to lower consciousness from the head to the chest, how to use a Trojan horse of a memory to start the engine and then swap the image, how to hold coherence until reality sets. The elevator protocol and the alchemy of feeling. Emotion is the gasoline, but where is the pump? You cannot simply order yourself to feel joy now. Emotions don't obey logic. Forcing them creates tension, the opposite of resonance. We need a biological hack. We will use physiology and memory to start the magnetic motor. Step 1. The descent, the neuronal elevator. Most people live trapped behind their eyes. Their self is in the head and the body feels far away. To activate the heart, you must move. Close your eyes. Imagine your consciousness is a sphere of light in the center of your brain. Visualize a transparent elevator going down your throat. Press the heart button. Physically feel the descent, past the neck, stopping in the center of the chest. The doors open. Step out. You are now in the heart. You are sensing the world from your heart. Feel its rhythm and heat. Breathe as if your nose were in your chest. Air enters and exits directly through the heart. This activates the vagus nerve. The heart detects the attention and enters coherence. Its beats become sinusoidal and orderly. The generator is now idling. Step 2. The Trojan horse, the fuel injection. Now you need an elevated emotion. If you are anxious, generating it from scratch is hard. So we will cheat. Search your database for a moment of pure love or joy, the birth of a child, a perfect kiss, a breathtaking landscape. Don't analyze the memory. Live it. Smell the air, touch the skin. Recover the physical sensation. Was there expansion? Sweet tears? Amplify it. Tell your body, yes, this is what I want to feel. Your body will secrete the same hormones it did that day. You are using a real memory to prime the pump. Memory is the Trojan horse used to sneak the high vibration frequency into your current system. Now the motor is roaring. You have an open heart, vibrating in gratitude. Your magnetic energy is high. Step 3. The slide swap, the fusion. Here is the master's trick. At this precise moment, remove the past image and insert the future image. Keep the gratitude, but change the visualization to your desire. See your decree fulfilled. See yourself healthy or successful. Apply the old gratitude to the new image. Feel that same explosive joy, but directed toward your future. Thank the future as if it has already happened. This is quantum neuroassociation. You have wired the certainty of a past fact to a future potential. To your nervous system, both are now equally real. Your electromagnetic signature is perfect. 1. Electrical, brain. I am rich. 2. Magnetic, heart. Thank you. It is real. Total coherence, maximum transmission. Now you are ready to speak. Step 4. The spoken decree, the shot. Only now do you open your mouth. Emit the decree. From this presence, I decree that I am abundance. It is done. Your voice will sound deeper and more resonant. Words will come out charged with static electricity. A chill or goosebumps is the physical signal that you have touched the field. The arrow has been fired with the bow fully drawn. The most potent tool is anticipatory gratitude. Thanking after receiving is reaction. Thanking before receiving is creation. Gratitude is the chemical signature that the event has already occurred. If you give thanks for health while sick, you collapse time. Don't say thank you, just in case. Say it because you know. It is more real than a medical diagnosis or a bank balance. Final warning, the law of reversed effort. Do not try to force the feeling. Clenching your teeth to feel love only generates cortisol. Cardiac resonance is a state of surrender. It is falling into the feeling. If you can't reach ecstasy, seek relief. Imagine your desire is fulfilled. You wouldn't be jumping all day, you would feel a deep relief. Finally, it is done. I can rest. Relief has a very clean magnetic signature with zero resistance. Breathe and let the weight go. Ah, it is done. Thank you. Chapter 9, the I Am Code. We have reached the deepest level of the rabbit hole. Until now, we have worked on the periphery. We audited thoughts, software, cleaned vocabulary, interface, and learn to emit decrees, commands. But none of this will last if we do not address the core of the operating system. You can install the best Wealth.x app on your computer, but if the base OS's victim version, the app won't run. It will crash. The operating system of your life is your identity, and the source code that defines your identity consists of 2 words: I am. We are not talking about grammar, we are talking about the encoding of reality. When Moses asked the burning bush for its name, the answer was, I am that I am, Eye Asher Eye. This means pure consciousness has no form. It is infinite potential waiting to be defined. I am is the opening command. It is the cursor blinking on the black screen of creation. What you put after I am is the code that collapses that infinite potential into a finite form. Here lies the tragedy. We have been given the master key of creation and we use it to curse ourselves. Let's analyze the structure. Subject I plus verb am plus predicate definition. The subject I is the witness. The verb am is energy in action. The predicate is either a prison or a throne. When you say I am shy, you violently compress the universe's energy into a small box. The verb to be indicates permanence and essence. You aren't saying I am acting shyly. You are saying the fundamental nature of my existence is shyness. The subconscious says, understood. The entity I is defined as shy. I will block all leadership or bravery attempts. Most people carry a list of destructive I ams from childhood. I am clumsy, I am poor, I am sick. These are not truths. They are bugs. They are Trojan viruses someone else inserted. Every time you repeat them, you recompile the code, making it harder to uninstall. The difference between Star and Sir, decoupling the parasite. The first step to hacking identity is the technical distinction between state and identity. In Spanish, we have 2 verbs, ser, identity, and estar, state. English only has to be, causing ontological confusion. I am sad, chac, soy triste versus estoy triste. Ser, identity, essence, immutable, structure, bone. Estar, state, location, temporary, weather, clothing. The fatal error is using ser for things that should be estar. Never say, I am diabetic or I am alcoholic. You turn the disease into your name. By saying I am diabetic, you integrate it into your ego. If you were cured, you would feel like you were dying because your identity would cease to exist. The correct way is, I am experiencing a condition of diabetes, or I am feeling anxiety. Observe the vibration. I am anxious means anxiety is me. I am feeling anxiety means anxiety is a weather event passing through me. I am the sky, anxiety is the cloud. This linguistic decoupling is the beginning of freedom. You must audit your I ams with loving cruelty. Whenever you hear I am something negative, stop. Cry out, syntax error. Reformulate. Don't say I am a failure. Say, I failed in this specific project, but I am a creator capable of learning. You are separating the doing from the being. The empty I am, the 0 point of identity. To rewrite code, you must erase the old one. You cannot write I am rich over I am poor without creating a mess. You must return to the naked I am. This is a high-power meditation. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and start peeling away the labels. I am not my name. I am not my profession. I am not my history. Keep peeling until nothing describable remains. What is left? The pure sensation of existing, consciousness without an object, the cursor blinking. That is the I am. Stay there. Feel the vertigo. It is a fertile void. In this I am everything and nothing state, the saboteur cannot find you because you have no form. From this 0 point, you can rebuild your avatar. Personality is not a stone sculpture. It is a river. You can choose who you will be. Don't fake it. Choose. Just like selecting attributes in a video game, you can select yours every morning. The problem is, you select victim by default by clicking Continue Previous Game. Today, we learn to click New Game. The reconstruction protocol and the absolute avatar. You have cleared the board. You have touched the 0 point. Now you hold the most dangerous and beautiful power in the universe, self-definition. Now you can complete the phrase, I am. What will you put there? Don't use nuclear energy to light a match. The I am is a divine invocation. Use it to invoke archetypes. Do not ask for incremental improvements. Ask for transubstantiation. Instead of defining yourself by circumstances, I am an employee, define yourself by energetic quality. Use abstract nouns. I am power, not I am powerful. I am abundance, not I am rich. When you say I am rich, the logic says, lie. But I am abundance speaks of your nature as a generator. It is irrefutable. You are the source, not the result. The technique of assumption, putting on the suit. Neville Goddard taught the law of assumption. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it becomes your natural state. This isn't fake it till you make it. Faking implies you feel like a fraud inside. Assumption implies occupation. Think like a method actor. Anthony Hopkins doesn't fake being a character. He enters the psyche. He breathes and moves as the character. You must do the same with your ideal self. Practice the avatar morning. Upon waking, stay in the dream void. Say, today I assume the identity of the sovereign creator. Ask, how would the sovereign self breathe right now? How would he get out of bed? How would he brush his teeth? You are putting on the suit. You are adjusting your posture to match the code. If done right, you will feel a click. You will feel taller. Fear recedes. Natural authority arises. This is the state shift. You have loaded the new operating system. Now, the challenge is keeping it running when the first problem of the day arrives. Identity armor, non-negotiation. The outside world will try to drag you back. They will treat you like the you of yesterday. Apply identity armor. Internally say, that was my old self. That program has been uninstalled. I am new. Prove it with your vibration. When they expect anger, respond with calm. When they expect complaints, respond with gratitude. By breaking the pattern, you break the karmic contract. You force them to relate to your new identity. This is the essence of energetic sovereignty. Do not take the name of God in vain. This doesn't mean swearing. Esoterically, it means do not use the I am to decree lies or smallness. Saying I am useless is blasphemy. It is using the universe's creative power to create garbage. It is an insult to your divinity. Saying I am poor is metaphysical heresy. The source cannot be poor. If you are the source, you are just playing at being poor temporarily. Promising yourself sacred hygiene of the I am is vital. If you have nothing empowering to say, stay in the empty I am. The master level is fluidity. Once you understand no identity is truly you, you can change suits according to the mission. Sometimes the situation requires I am compassion. Other times, I am clarity. You become a secret agent of consciousness. You have no fixed form, you are water. You adapt to the vessel, but you are the water, not the glass. You become unoffendable. If someone insults your avatar, they insult the suit, not you. And he who cannot be offended cannot be controlled. Close this chapter with the mirror practice. Tonight, look into your pupils, find the witness, say aloud, I am, I am, I am. No predicates, just the pure verb. Feel it resonate in your spine. You are not alone, you are everything. The code has been rewritten. The OS is updated to Divinity v1.0. Your computer is ready to run any program you desire. Magic, wealth, and health are no longer miracles. They are the expected performance of an optimized system. Chapter 10, Fertile Silence. You have learned to handle the sniper rifle of your mind. You have learned to load the ammunition, emotion, to aim the barrel, decree, and to pull the trigger, will. But if you spend your life firing, you will go deaf and exhaust your ammo. Most importantly, you can never collect the prey. We reach the final paradox of mental acoustic engineering. The word, your word, thought, is the tool of creation and projection. It is a masculine, electric, emitting force used to shape the plasma of reality. But the tool of materialization and reception is silence. It is feminine and magnetic. If you are constantly emitting, even if they are positive decrees, affirmations of wealth and prayers of power, you are occupying the line. You are generating an outgoing signal so strong and constant that you block the incoming signal. The quantum field is trying to deliver the package. Every time it knocks on your door, you are screaming decrees on the other side. I am abundance, I am success. The universe, with the gift in hand, says, yes, I heard you the first time. I have the business opportunity here. Can you be quiet for a second so I can open the door? But you do not shut up. You keep decreeing for fear that if you stop, the magic will disappear. You keep talking because, deep down, you believe that reality is sustained only by your mental, muscular effort. This is the fear of the void. Horror vacui. It is the deepest spiritual illness of the modern era. We erroneously believe that silence is nothing, or that emptiness is absence. We terrify ourselves with mental silence because we associate it with death or non-existence. If I am not thinking, who am I? Who is driving? We fill every microsecond of our life with noise, podcasts, music, social media. When that turns off, we fill the space with neurotic internal dialogue. Even spiritual seekers fill it with incessant, positive chatter. Mastery teaches us, the void is latent fullness. The empty space inside an atom, which is 99.999% of the atom, is not empty. It is full of zero-point energy. It is the Higgs field. It is the matrix from which all matter arises. Mental silence is not the absence of thought. It is the presence of zero frequency. It is the state of superconductivity. Imagine an electric cable. If the cable is hot and vibrating, active thought, noise, resistance, electricity finds it difficult to pass. Energy is lost. But if you cool the cable to absolute zero, resistance disappears. Electricity flows infinitely. Your mind is that cable. When you stop the internal dialogue, when you enter fertile silence, you reduce the resistance of your ego to zero. In that moment, the current of the universe, infinite intelligence, can pass through you without distortion. You become a superconducting channel. The beginner believes he must do everything. I decree, I visualize, I feel, I do. The master understands the law of alternation. There is a time to emit, yang, and a time to receive, yin. A healthy heart is not always contracted, systole. It needs to relax and open, diastole. Have you noticed that the best ideas don't occur when you are desperately trying to think of them? They come in the shower, or while driving or walking the dog. Why? Because in those moments, your controlling self, the emitter of decrees and worries, was momentarily distracted. You stopped emitting noise. There was a microsecond of real silence. In that gap, the answer the universe had been trying to send for hours could finally enter. This is inspiration. The word comes from in spiritus, the spirit entering. Spirit cannot enter a house full of noise. The practice of fertile silence is the ultimate act of faith. It is saying, I have done my work, I have launched my decree. Now I trust so much that it is done, that I will sit in silence and wait for the delivery. It is the difference between a novice waiter and an expert one. You have spent 9 chapters learning to ask. Now you must learn to withdraw. There is an interesting hydraulic principle. If you want to attract water to you, you don't blow, you suck. You create a vacuum. Silence creates a quantum vacuum. When your mind stops and becomes still like a lake without ripples, you become a massive attractor. Nature abhors a vacuum and rushes to fill it. If your vacuum resonates with the frequency of your previous decree, the universe will rush to fill that silence with physical abundance. But if you do not make silence, there is no vacuum to fill. Your own wordiness occupies the space, your doubts, your frantic affirmations, your obsessive plans. All of that is mental matter, taking up the place where the miracle should be. The master uses the word and the silence, the universal receiver and the dance of the master. If fertile silence is so powerful, why is it so hard to reach? Why, when you try to make your mind blank, does the volume of internal noise seem to double? The answer is in the technique. Most people try to reach silence through suppression. They try to push thoughts down. This is mental muscular effort. And every effort generates a counterforce. If you push against your mind pushes back. Silence is not achieved through war. It is achieved through curiosity. To enter zero frequency, change your role. Stop being the broadcaster and become the antenna. The master technique is not trying not to think. The technique is listening to what is beneath the thought. Sit in a quiet place. Close your eyes. At first you will hear the usual chaos, the shopping list, or a song. Do not fight that. It is just traffic. Instead of looking at the traffic, try to listen to the space between the cars. Try to listen to the silence that exists behind the noise. Ask this key question. From where will my next thought emerge? And wait. Watch with the attention of a cat stalking a mouse. In that moment of alert waiting, in that pause where you are watching the origin of thought, there is a gap, there is a lapse. For 2, 3, or 5 seconds the mind stays still, surprised by your attention. That gap is point zero. It is fertile silence. It is not empty. It feels electric, it feels alive. It is a nothing full of everything. Your job is not to force that gap for an hour. Your job is simply to notice it, savor it. When the next thought comes, let it pass and look for the gap again. With practice, these 3-second gaps become 10, 20, or a minute. In those minutes of lucid silence, your brain synchronizes. The hemispheres balance. The parasympathetic nervous system activates, and you begin to receive the signal from the master station. When the noise of your ego, fear, desire, control lowers in volume, you start to hear another voice. It is not an audible voice. It is a knowing. It is a block of information that downloads into your system instantly. This is intuition. Intuition is the voice of your higher self, or God or the field, responding to your decrees. You said, "I decree wealth." Silence responds, "Call this person now," or "Launch this product." The instruction is usually subtle, fast, and surprisingly simple. It is often illogical to the rational mind. Rational mind, don't call that client, it's late. Intuition, silence, call. The master obeys silence. Because silence has an eagle's view of the entire labyrinth, while the logical mind only sees the wall in front of it. This is the dynamic of mastery. 1. Decree, word, I set the destination. 2. Silence, listening, I ask for the map. 3. Inspired action, I take the step indicated by silence. 4. Repeat, most people try to use the word for everything. That is exhausting and inefficient. You set the what and decree. Silence sets the how and inspiration. You can see this dynamic as the breath of your reality. The decree is the exhalation. It is yang. You put your energy into the world. The silence is the inhalation. It is yin. You take the world into you. If you only exhale, speak, do, you die of suffocation. If you only inhale, meditate, wait, you die of inaction. The life of the master is a constant rhythm. Speak with authority. Be silent with humility. Act with strength. Wait with faith. Friction disappears. We have come a long way. We started by realizing we were broadcasters of unconscious noise, destroying our lives with toxic internal dialogue. We went through auditing, cleaning, reprogramming, and heart activation. Now we arrive here, at the end. The ultimate objective of all this work is to tune the instrument. You are an instrument of divine consciousness. You are a flute through which the universe wants to play a unique melody. If the flute is full of mud, trauma, fear, the music does not sound. All the work you have done in this book has been to clean the mud. You have cleaned the tube. You have aligned the holes. Now the air can pass. The refined internal word is the music. When your dialogue aligns with truth, the music is harmonic. And when that music sounds, physical reality has no choice but to dance to the rhythm you play. The walls of Jericho fell to the sound of trumpets. The walls of your limitations will fall to the sound of your truth. You are no longer a victim. You are the observer who speaks. You are the silence that listens. Conclusion: the fire bearer and the new energetic elite. At first glance, the world has not changed. The asphalt is still hard, the news still sells fear, and the laws of society still push you toward consumption and distraction. The supply of cheap dopamine and victim language remains the norm in 99% of the conversations you will hear today. But you have changed. You can no longer look back with innocence. You have bitten the apple of technical knowledge, but this time it has not expelled you from paradise. It has given you the blueprints to build it inside your own head. You now know what is installed between your ears. You know that you are not a helpless mammal designed simply to replicate genes, pay taxes, and die. You know that you are a high-power transmission antenna. You know that you are a collapser of realities. This book has been a manual of radical deprogramming. Together we have dismantled the lie of mental privacy. We have exposed that every thought is an acoustic and electrical event. We have mapped how your poor vocabulary has been strangling your finances and your health. Bad luck is but the delayed echo of a dirty frequency you emitted. Now you face an uncomfortable truth. Ignorance is no longer an excuse. Before, you could afford the luxury of thinking, "I am a failure," and believe it was harmless. Now you know that thought is a biological attack against yourself. It is a command for cellular destruction. If from today you choose to continue using that language, you will no longer be an unconscious victim. You will be a conscious accomplice of your own misfortune. That weight is the price of freedom. Sovereignty is not free. It is paid for with absolute responsibility. The challenge of sustaining the charge. In the coming days and weeks, you will face the true test. It is easy to feel like a frequency master while listening to this audio, protected in your bubble. The difficulty is maintaining the frequency when the outside world hits you in the face or an unexpected debt arrives. In those moments of friction, your old personality, the victim self, addicted to complaining and the comfort of drama, will try to hijack the system. The old program will tell you, "Give up. It's too much effort. Be realistic. Getting angry is normal. Worrying is the responsible thing." You will feel an almost physical temptation to lower your voltage. You will feel the desire to join the chorus of complaints of your colleagues because that feels warm and safe. Belonging to the herd is comfortable. Being a solitary eagle watching its mind is cold and demanding. That is the moment of truth. That is the moment you decide whether you are a cracked container or a golden grail. Remember what we learned about pressure. Pressure is not your enemy. Pressure is the forging mechanism of the universe. Do not run to relieve it. Sustain the charge. Use that tension. Sit in front of your chaos and say, "I am not going to lower my frequency to match this problem. I am going to keep my frequency high until the problem is forced to rise to my level to be resolved." This is how you master the material environment, the new energetic elite. By doing this work, you are silently becoming part of a new elite. It is not an elite based on money or status. It is an aristocracy of spirit and energy. While the masses weaken and become docile due to a lack of purpose and excess noise, you are accumulating integrity. A human being who controls their internal world is uncontrollable by the external system. Happiness cannot be sold to them because they manufacture it inside at will. They cannot be manipulated with fear because they have a monitor at the door who intercepts every single threat. Your presence in the world begins to have a physical effect on others. Your electromagnetic field has expanded and cleared. This turns you into a human thermostat. Where you were once a thermometer, reacting to the emotional climate of the room, you now establish the temperature. If you enter a room full of fear and you vibrate in certainty, the fear of others will begin to dissipate. Not because you say anything, but by sympathetic resonance. Small tuning forks adjust to the largest one. Your existence becomes an act of service to the whole. Your legacy is your frequency. I want you to reconsider your concept of legacy. We usually think legacy is what we leave behind: money, houses, books. But biophysics suggests something deeper. Your legacy is the frequency you have recorded in the field. You are cleaning the database of humanity. Every time you break a chain of poverty with a decree of abundance, you are rewriting the genetic code for your descendants. They will not only inherit your assets, they will inherit your ease for manifesting. You are healing the tree backward and forward through time. Imagine the history of humanity as a long, dark night in a cold forest. Most people are damp logs. They want heat, but they have no fire of their own. They huddle together, desperately looking for someone to light them, but barely manage a suffocating smoke. They beg for sparks. You have decided to become a torch. You have decided to dry your own wood. You have decided to use your own vital resin to feed a vertical flame that does not depend on the exterior. That flame lights your path and inevitably lights the path of everyone walking beside you. The last instruction. The path of frequency is the solitary path of the warrior, but it is also the ecstatic path of the creator. There will be days when you fall. There will be days when the old programming wins and you think you are worth nothing. Listen to me well. Do not blame yourself. Guilt is a waste of energy. Guilt is low-frequency noise. If you fall, do not stay on the ground analyzing the fall. Simply observe it with the coolness of a scientist. Curious, I have dropped in frequency. And apply the protocol immediately. Reset, breathe, rise again. Mastery does not consist of never falling. Mastery consists of reducing the return time. If before it took you 3 days to leave a depression, now it will take 3 hours, then 3 minutes, then 3 seconds, until the return is instant. You are the master of the dial. The book ends here in this second, but your vital experiment has just begun. You have the rest of your life to perfect your art. You have decades ahead to discover how much light your nervous system can withstand before merging with the infinite. Do not settle for getting by. Do not settle for little by little. Do not settle for sparks when you were born to be the lightning. Close your eyes for a moment before returning to the world. Feel the silence behind my words. That silence is you. That is your true voice. Guard it. Use it.